we'll be talking about Black Lives Matter today. So yeah, man, thanks for showing back up here for another episode. You know, I think we had a really good episode last time where we were talking about the Me Too movement. And everything like that.
We did.
Yep. Cool. So I guess we could dive right in, man. So I'm pretty sure you've been hearing about the Black Lives Matter movement going on in the news right now, and been going on for a while now, since Mike Brown and everything like that.
Yeah, of course I have.
What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I've been checking out a couple of videos. I think Nick Cannon had a cool little, you know, music video about it. He had the Kaepernick jersey on. He was in front of a little movement.
Okay.
They were talking about the lives of black people matter. And I understand that because, you know, living in a community where, you know, that most of the cops, you know what I'm saying, were of a different ethical or racial background, you know, and they acted totally different than, you know what I'm saying, people of their similar ethnic or racial, you know, community when they stopped you or they said something to you, you know what I'm saying. They maybe communicate with anybody else in a subtle manner. They'll communicate with you in a fearful manner with their guns drawn, shaking, you know, maybe some of them discharged improperly just because they're fearful of movements in a vehicle, of tint, of windows that they couldn't see, or, you know, or being stopped by other people so much that they seen so much gang violence and being stopping so many criminals that they used to stopping people as criminals. So anytime they see anybody that fits any description of anybody that would look like a criminal to them, then they, you know, automatically go into this mode of you're a criminal, and they might have a gun and they put a gun in your face and they threaten your life. You know, it's almost like they given them the power of being Judge Dredd to you know, just to judge you right then and there and kill you and get off of it. So, you know, I would say in those situations, black lives shouldn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because you got the Rodney King situations, you got all these type of situations where brothers getting beat down, getting choked to death, getting shot with no gun, running away, getting shot in their back. You know what I'm saying? It's like some cops having tasers, but instead of using the taser, they're using the gun. You know, and the gun, you know, is something to kill somebody and deaden somebody. And taser is something to shoot somebody and subdue somebody so you can handcuff them and properly arrest them. But I guess nowadays, they don't want to arrest them or go through the time of the arrest, and they just want to end it all because they probably spend their times on the weekends at the shooting range, you know, and all they do is shoot torso and up targets, and that's all they think about. So it's already programmed in their head.
You know what? You've made a couple good points that I want to kind of reiterate those points. So what I'm hearing out of what you're saying is that first and foremost, the cops have a different culture oftentimes than the people they're policing. So when they come up to you and they engage you, they often will expect a different response from you due to their culture, how someone from their culture would respond. And so when you respond, what would be typical for your culture to respond, they might misperceive that as an aggressive response or as a disobedient response, when in reality, that is not considered that in your culture, right? So off top, there's going to be a miscommunication that could lead to certain tragedies when you have someone judging, like you said, with the ability to kill someone, to make a judgment, a spot judgment like that. And then there's a miscommunication there due to a cultural clash. That leaves a lot of space for misunderstandings to happen, which could cost someone their life. That's a good point. The other thing you said there that I really want to reiterate that I thought was a really good point that I heard made a lot was the authority that we give to police and the weaponry and the ability to not only be able to make a judgment, but to be able to act on it and with lethal consequences, which we don't even give that authority to judges that we appoint to the bench. You know, they have to take an entire trial to make a judgment on you, and even in that case, we have a jury and everything like that. So that's a good point, that you know, it needs to be considered what level of authority you're giving these people, or they could end up, like you're saying, like a Judge Dredd scenario,
Yeah.
where the person is able to be the judge, jury, and executioner at that point, which you don't want to give that authority to anyone lightly. So that's a very good point. Yeah.
And I feel like if you are like have to go through 4 years of college, you have to take a couple of years of theory and psychology, so you'll know the mentality of certain people that you deal with, in order to make those split the second, you know what I'm saying, judgments. And even then you might not be able to make a proper judgment, but at least you'll have a better, you know, outlook and judgment on some of these things. And a lot of our people
and
that work
training, like you said,
a lot of people, they're not trained properly.
Before you put someone into a neighborhood, you should give them some cultural training. And I know that's even done in the military. Before you get deployed to Iraq, they do some cultural training so that you're familiar with the people that you're going to be there interacting with. So,
Exactly.
no, that is very true. If a person comes in from a different culture or community, and they end up being, say, hey, I want to be stationed in this community, they should go through some cultural training so
Yeah.
that they can have an understanding and there will be less miscommunication there. That's a very good point, man. And I think when people talk about these police need more training, it's always focused on training of how to de-escalate a situation, or training on how to use their guns, or training like that. But the people don't talk about cultural training.
Yeah, and I feel like you have to use not just the aspect of America as an opinion, but look at the aspect of the world. There's places where the cops don't even have guns. They have whistles and billy clubs. And the crime level is at an all-time low. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And the death toll of cops killing people is at the lowest ever.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, then,
So,
then
of
that
the
gets
help
into
of the
gun control
community,
talk, you
so
know.
the help of the community, are we really helping by giving them the power of Judge Dredd, the power to, you know, judge you, you know what I'm saying, and execute you right then and there and get off? Or should we give them that much power? Do we give that power to the FBI or the CIA agent that goes through all type of central credit and college and all type of central training and psychology training, all type of training to deal with scenarios like this?
Yeah.
But we give it to an average high school grad and say, hey, here you go right here.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And I think that's a little bit too much power, because some of them have psychological problems.
Right.
They probably were picked on at school, they probably were bullied, or something was wrong with them that made them become that cop.
Right.
To make them want to harass gangsters and anybody that thought they was hard or
So
had
now-
any type of ability
now-
to control. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a deeper thing that people don't understand.
Right.
They just look at the surface, but they gotta look at.
So basically, what you're saying is that along with, you know, maybe a focus on the culture, there should be a focus on general education of these cops, of having some kind of degree, and also though it should be a focus on filtering. You know, you say, hey, these cops need to go through psych evaluations and see where their head's at if they're going to be out there having the authority of a judge, jury, and executioner, which is an incredible authority That's a good point, man.
Yeah.
So beyond so with this Black Lives Matter movement, there's a lot to it, beyond just so it's rooted in what you're talking about, which is police violence.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, I wouldn't have took that aspect. If they'd have asked me to take that aspect, I'd have took it like this. I would say, all lives matter. All lives matter in the community. Everybody's lives matter. You know what I'm saying? But I'm telling you, it just seems that more black lives are being taken by the hands of other people other than black. And that's why they had to make a big point of, hey, Black Lives Matter. You see all these black lives being taken and nobody's doing nothing about it. Nobody's going to jail. Nothing's happening to these people. Come on. Do something about this.
So you make a good point. So you say all lives matter.
But if we say, hey, only just our life matters, only my crew matters, it's a kind of biased thing. It's a kind of like, you know what I'm saying? You're getting to be racist in yourself.
The wrong way, basically.
Yeah, it could be taken the wrong way. You're getting to act like the people that you're trying to be against.
Right.
Because that's how they are. Right. That's why they kill you and shoot you and harass you like that, because they're the biased nature themselves. They're like, oh, we're separate than them. Forget them. You know, we're on our own shit. Our life matters. Their life doesn't matter.
Right.
So if we take that same initiative like them, only our life matters. Black lives matter, but nobody else's lives matter but ours. Then we'll just be like the oppressors that's oppressing us.
Right.
So I feel like you can take the Malcolm X ride or the Martin Luther King way. It's different ways you can take your way to get freedom.
Right.
Some people get freedom with a gun. Somebody wants freedom with marching and speech and coming up with good speeches, getting people together. You know what I'm saying? And making laws change. You know, it's all type of aspects of way you can go about it. But
so thinking about what you're saying,
but I'm saying all lives matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
but it's just,
I agree.
But it's just we're just getting punished more, like we've always been punished more, and it just hasn't been seen. So they have to say that to make it a focus on what's really going on.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But all lives matter.
So it's almost
going
a
around the whole
catch-22,
world.
right?
It's a catch-22.
Catch-22. So let me ask you this. So let's look at it this way.
Because we can't live without other people's lives matter.
No, I get that. So,
all our goods and services don't come from me and you.
Right.
If I just say your life and my life matter, we can't get no Drake.
Right.
You can't get no.
Right.
You don't make this.
This German or something.
Yeah, you don't make this. You don't make some of this stuff that keeps you to survive. Your drink, your water, your all this stuff. All those people that import that and make that for you to live, you have to live off of these people.
Yeah.
Those people's lives matter too, because in order for them to live and they life,
Holland.
They make you live.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
This beer come from Amsterdam.
So I'm just saying, everybody's lives around the world matter. We all connected, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We should look at that.
Right.
So
let's look at it this way then, and then maybe this is something that should be talked about more, which is, so like you're saying, if you say Black Lives Matter, it leaves a space for people who are against Black lives to act like they're taking the bigger position by saying all lives matter. Because I've seen protests where they'll be saying Black Lives Matter, and some people will be screaming at them all lives matter to try to shut them down. And to me, I agree with you. It's like if you just say Black Lives Matter, you're leaving yourself open to somebody who is not really about all lives. They're really about some other group of lives, and they don't like Black lives. You're leaving a space for them to come in and try to contradict you by saying all lives matter.
Okay, so say.
But here's wait. Let me just say this, and I want you to think about this when you tell me. So if you have a group of people saying all lives matter, and they're all Black, or there's Black people there, and there's a lot of different type of people there, Asians, whites, and others, but there's Black people there, Or you have a protest where there's all black people saying all lives matter. Won't people get the point that they're saying Black Lives Matter too? Or do you think that they have to say Black Lives Matter?
I think they'll get the point. All you have to do is show what's been
Show
going.
up, basically.
Show what's going on in the community. This is what happened to this kid. This is what happened to this kid. But also in these other communities, this is what happened to this kid. This is what happened to this kid. Under these same type of situations with these same type of authorities. In this Asian community over here, in this Thai community over here, in this black community over here, in this suburban white or this trailer over here.
So then, you make a really good point. So let's think about it like this then. I just asked this question, and you just take it from there. Okay. So here's the question then. Does it really boil down to a question of beyond just saying this life? Does it really boil down to a question of liberty, right? I mean, we are in America, and it boils down to a question of guilty, innocent before proven guilty, right? That's a thing in America. So I think what you're saying, when you see this happening in all these communities, they've marked all those people as criminals. Yeah. They've marked all their lives as being less than mattering. So this is beyond Black Lives Mattering. When you say all lives mattering, you're saying the lives that you have marked for whatever reason as being a criminal or a less life still matters. And when you go around and you say, well, I'm just trying to put a stereotype on you and say, do you fall in a category, whether it's black or whether it's a guy with tattoos or a homeless looking guy, do you fall in a category where your life doesn't matter? And that's the bigger issue, really, because often we find ourselves in that category because we're black. But the real problem is that category of saying, here's a category of lives that don't matter, and here, you're part of that as black people. But also there's homeless people we put in that category. There's this other kind of people, a gangbanger we put in that category. And we say, when we see him, he's guilty before proven. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a presumption of innocence. We get to fear for our life and suspect him and say his life doesn't matter, our life matters more. We're some police, some hero, some whoever because of our job, and our life matters more. But maybe we need to take another look at it and say, in reality, the police life can never matter more because their only job is to protect the citizen.
It's here to protect the
right.
service.
So
that's their job.
If you say the citizen's life doesn't matter, then why even have police? Exactly. So at the end of the day, a police should be a person who's respected because of their bravery, not because of their badge and authority. Right? Yeah. So when a person gets to kill you because they have badge and authority and they were clearly wrong in the situation, but they say they feared for their life, that's a coward that gets to kill you behind badge and authority. Why should you respect that person? Right? That's not a hero. A hero is a person who puts their life on the line. And that's why you give them a badge. Because they're the guy who's willing to put their life on the line and say, hey, I've got to wait 2 more seconds before I shoot to make sure. Because that's why I have this badge. If I was just some coward that can't wait and that's feared for my life, I should just be holed up in my house with my gun behind my door. I shouldn't be out here on the streets forcing myself into people's interaction and saying, hey, I'm going to stop your car and interact with you, but I'm going to be terrified for my life, right? You shouldn't have a person doing that. If you're scared to do that, you shouldn't be doing it, right? If you're scared, you should be holed up in your house because the lives that matter are the citizens that we're protecting. And you have to be able to know that that person is a criminal and not a citizen that should be protected. And too often than not, you put citizens into a position where their lives don't matter, and whether it be black or not. I think that's a great point, man. I mean, I haven't heard that point made a lot.
Yeah, because if you're in the lower communities, it doesn't matter what color, race, or creed you are. If you're living in the lower income communities, it seems that your life does not matter. Because you're not making enough money. You can't afford a
Good point,
lawyer.
guys.
If I whip your ass, well, if I whoop on you or disrespect you in any manner, I don't think you can afford a lawyer or afford any legal team, and nobody's gonna have your back. Cause look, he lives in a lower community. He lives with his ghettos, gangs, drugs, robberies, molestation, pimping, prostitution. He lives in this community. So hey, he's probably a product of this community. So their life does not matter.
And see, there's another good point that you're saying right there, is that you know, it's beyond
A color thing.
it's beyond a color thing. It's to the point where, you know, hey, not only is it it's almost a class thing, right? At that point is what you're talking about.
It's a class thing, and we always been living in a class thing in America.
So it's just that if you're black, you happen to just be put in the lower class.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyone they put in that lower class, life don't matter.
Exactly.
And they get to get treated like that.
Exactly, because look, listen to me.
That's a good point.
If the cop pulls over Eddie Murphy, some higher class,
if he knows he's Eddie Murphy.
and he knows him Eddie Murphy, he don't watch his movies, see
Yeah.
his commercials, he knows he's high powered, he knows he has a high powered lawyer, he knows he just got a new movie coming out and all this stuff, he's getting paid this big bucks and stuff like that. He probably lives in a community of Studio City or nice community of Beverly Hills, Bel Air, you know what I'm saying, his license on the thing says probably Bel Air, he probably riding in the Phantom, the short Phantom, you know what I'm saying? So it's a certain respect. So when they pull him over and they see his face, or they run his license plate maybe behind him before they even pull him over, and they see who it is, and they hit the lights on and they pull him over, 9 times out of 10 they're not neglected to treat him like he's a lower class citizen and jump out with a gun and say, hey, you got dope and everything, keep your hands where I can see them. Right. And shake your hands and say, roll your back windows down. Yeah. See if anybody's back there, it's too much tent. Don't even move. You move an inch, I'll kill you. Oh, he's moving, he's resisting arrest. And start shooting. Right. They're not going to come at that situation like that. Because it's a class thing.
Right.
You know, you got Hollywood, you got, you know what I'm saying, while we out here in California, it's a class thing.
That's true.
They know that you have a certain type of class, certain type of a legal authority. You may just have brunch with the senator, and the senator was with the chief of police and everybody else at the bruncheon, and they know that you making that type of money when you got that type of connections, and their job would be at stake if they do something to you. Now they would treat you in a certain type of way with a certain type of class.
Now I think that you've made a point before about this, where you've said, you know, people talk about Black Lives Matter. Do you remember that? You were saying people talk about Black Lives Matter, but they don't talk about something like Black finance or something like that.
Oh, well, it's like, you know, a lot of people talk about, they miss issues. The biggest issue that I say in America is really not about, you know what I'm saying, lives in America. America really ain't up on lives. America will probably want population control before they want more lives. You know what I'm saying? America is a capitalist. Capitalism is about money. It's about currency. It's about capitalizing on situations, building a capital. Capital is currency. So they don't care about what's going on, but they care about, or view a liability or an asset. Are you making us money, or are you taking money away? Are you sending out, outsourcing for goods and services, or are you buying goods and services from us? Are you using our big stores and everything that's connected to us and our major corporations and our 1% families, or you're spending with your old moms and pops, and they done outsourced online to some other country somewhere, and we're not seeing those dollars being recycled in our capitalist community of America. So we want to bring America back again. It's not to say bring it back again, it's to say spend goods and services in American companies. Believe in America again. And that's what they're trying to say. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I feel that they're trying to implicate on everybody. And that's why it's not about Black Lives Matter. Yes, we do. But Black finance matters bigly. Like all our sports heroes, everybody that's Black and successful in a successful manner, they have finances. And it matters how they spend those finances. Black finance matters. What they do with it, what type of land that they buy, what type of houses that they buy, what type of community centers that they created, what type of youth centers that they created, what health gyms, what schools that they built, what facilities for jobs and communication facilities for learning, sports facilities, you know what I'm saying, music facilities, you know what I'm saying. What had they built about recycle facilities, how to turn back this thing that we're doing, we're destroying the world. You know what I'm saying? Cleaning the air, cleaning the pollution. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point.
You know.
So, kind of what I'm taking out of that is
so our finances need to be pushed in the right manner. So if we push them with and buy goods and services, because we may not have all the goods and services of everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can go to a little Chinatown, little Tokyo, little Koreatown. You know what I'm saying? But where's little Black Town?
Right. No, I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Whereas you
yeah.
can buy all goods and services that you can just live on, all the clothes, all the food,
it
everything.
Should be the hood, though, right?
Yeah, it should be somebody that can
Because
be
typically, little Chinatown is where all the say Chinese people live, and then they have their shops there.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you go to Koreatown,
and they buy in Koreatown is the same way.
In the hood, the ghetto, where all the Black people are, should be where the Black-owned businesses are.
Yeah.
And it is to a certain degree, but there's a lot of other type of businesses there as well.
And there are type of businesses there that there's not enough businesses there, and there's not enough business opportunities to open businesses, and there's not enough tax breaks for brothers opening businesses to give the goods and services that brothers need to survive on a day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying?
Well, one thing that I'm taking out of what you said, man, that I think is not talked about, and it's not a popular thing to be talked about, I think,
I know
in
because
the Black community.
yeah, because if you got some
taking
money,
personal responsibility. Right?
Yeah, because if you got some money
Yeah.
and you start spending, they look at you different.
Right.
They want you to give charity to all these organizations where you don't see the money and how the charity of your money is being used.
Well,
but as soon as you give charity back to the community, as soon as you build something to the community that you were raised in, then they start looking at you. You may lose some endorsements. You know, you may lose connections because they don't want you to use the money in certain manners.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, one thing that I'm looking at is, so you have these Black Lives Matters protests, which I totally get. It's a reaction to what's going on. But like you said, Black finance matters. So are the same people who are upset with Black lives being treated like they don't matter, they spending their money towards Black businesses? I mean, are they doing the research? So, because, you know, are they going to say, hey, I could buy these shoes here, but let me look for a Black-owned business to spend the money with? And so that's the question. Are the people who are saying, you know, Black Lives Matter, are they then turning around and not spending their money in the black community, because that would matter more, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's how you're gonna really start to change things.
Yeah, I feel like if you can say one thing and do another. I'm with the walkers, not the talkers.
Right.
There's a lot of people that talk a good one, but then they go back to doing the same thing that they've been doing. So you're at the community rights, you're picking and you're doing all this stuff, and you say, hey, yeah, it matters. We're going through this rights and this struggle. Please help us. And then you're feeling some pressure, and I understand that you're going through that. But then you go home and you take all your little money and everything you do, and you go back and spend it back with the same people that pay the taxes and give that money back to the same people that you're fighting. The same police officers, the same community, the same people that you're fighting. So you're actually fighting against yourself. You see what I'm saying?
No, that's a good point.
So I feel like
like finance matters, right?
In order for you to change things in society, you must take away the money. Money is power. And if you take away your money, then you can change laws. But if you can't take away the money, you will not change laws. And I show you a prime example. When everybody said, oh, we're not going to ride on the bus because you won't let us ride on the bus wherever we want and sit on the bus whenever we want. And when our sister got on the bus and she was too tired at work to go all the way to the back of the bus and she just wanted to rest her feet and sit down anywhere on the bus and get home like any other stand-up woman in the community, and you treat her like she was less than a dog, then we not gonna ride the bus and spend our hard-earned money that we go to work for back with the organization that treated us like that. Now that organization at the time was a bus organization that was connected to the city. Now the bus organization went on for years losing money. Lost maybe millions, maybe billions of dollars from people walking to work, not taking no buses. Thousands and thousands of people. Every week, every month. To the point where the business maybe was on the brink of going out of business. They couldn't stand not to have the business of this community of people. At that time, it was the black community, but it could have been any other community. But when it comes to money, when people is losing money, corporations is losing money, capitalists is losing money, they change laws. Now we're going to change it to where everybody can ride on the bus wherever y'all want to ride. Just come on, ride the bus again. Come on, pay your fee again. We want our millions back, our billions back.
Yeah, I mean... It
wasn't about the people. It was about them. And you know what they say? In order to hurt the biggest man, what do? You hurt their pockets. You attack the finances. If you want to get something done in the community, people attack the finances.
Now,
black finances matter. Not just Black Lives Matter. See where you're spending it, how you're spending it, and what you're going to spend it to do for you in the future and your family.
That's a really good point, and I think that it kind of wraps up with something else I think we've talked about before off air, which is how the black community is not just the black community. It's like you said with the class thing, and the black community is the poor community. Which is where they send everybody.
Which is lower class.
Right. So not just the hood the ghetto is not just bad because black people live there. It's because that's where the poor people live, and you send everybody that are undesirable. Say
it's almost there, like
right?
it's almost like
and then
insubordination, right?
Yeah.
Anybody that with bad records, bad things that happen to you, bad situations, bad people, guilty by associations. You got your gangsters, your robbers, your jackers, your dope dealers, your peddlers, your con men, these sexual assault people, these rapers and these molesters and these kidnappers, you know what I'm saying? All these people get took out of jail, and when they get out of jail, they can't go into their communities because they're outlawed by them. And they got community people that get together. Hey, we got community watch, and we'll all meet up together. We found out this guy on the internet was this type of pedophile, so we voted him out of our community. Now these people leave those communities, and they all go into the ghetto community, and they want us to be able to live side to side while we're upstanding community people and go to work, go to church, and go to all these other things and live upstanding people. They expect us to live next door to the murderers, the robbers, the jackers, the cheats, the con men, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
The pimps, the players, the prostitutes, the hustlers, everything. And we're supposed to survive. We're supposed to be upstanding people in our community. We don't supposed to have any guns to protect ourselves. We don't supposed to get in any trouble. Our house don't supposed to get broken and robbed when we leave to go to work. Everything we have, you know what I'm saying, that we build up, don't supposed to get taken. But in our community, it's different because we're living with the lowest of the lowest. Cops mess up in another community that's nice. They send the bad cops to the hood. Here, go over there, go police here.
That's
so
true.
now you got a melting pot of sinfulness. It's almost like Sodom and Gomorrah. You almost got to turn your head back against it. You turn the stone with it. And that's what's going on. And they allow it to go on like that. Because people in the communities like this, they're so standoffish about each other. They're so scared that so many crazy people is in the community. They don't talk to each other. They don't get together and figure it out. They don't have no neighborhood watching communities where they all get together and say, hey, this person in our neighborhood, we got to vote them out. We can't. They don't think like the upstanding people with real money and stuff like that. They don't go that far because they're so standoff and so scared of everybody. They don't want to communicate.
That's true.
They go to their car and quickly push their button and jump in their car and go to work and come home and quickly get through the gate just to get inside their house. Scared somebody and broke through their window when they've been gone. They live totally in fear. While you walk right out, you know, with the dog, walk up the street, everything is cool, it's a dandy day. Hey neighbors, hello, you know everybody in the community, everybody knows you. Anybody new come in the community, they stick out like a sore thumb. Oh, we gotta vote this person out. Hey Carl, what's going on? Somebody's over at Cindy's house looking through the window. You know what I'm saying? But it's a different community. And that's why when you're in the upper class community, you don't have to deal with certain things. When you're in the lower class community, you got to deal with all certain things. And that's why you got to keep strapped, because sometimes guys be shooting. You got to deal with gangsters, robbers, jackers. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with the police jumping at you with a gun, thinking you're a gangster, wanting to shoot you, wanting to rob you, searching all your pockets. Somebody takes off running, he thinks that's resisting arrest. He starts shooting you all. You don't know what's going to happen. You expect the worst, and you deal with the worst in the community. So when you really make it out, a lot of people in the ghetto do a lot of music and a lot of sports and a lot of things to make it out. When they make it out, it's like a blessing from God. It's like, you know what I'm saying, angel in heaven and came down and swooped you up and flew you up out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how beautiful it is. To even survive, to even make it to 40 years old, when you're living in that type of environment, you're like Rambo.
Yeah.
People, that's why they call you triple OG and OG. They got so much respect for you because they know that they barely can survive day to day with the things they go through. In order to survive a lifetime in a war zone, a cesspool of disrespect, dishonor, disloyalty, lies, cheats, robbers, snitches, killers, dope heads,
So I guess
molesters.
really the question is then really, you know, it really begs to the heart of the question, which is, before Black lives can matter in America, that bigger category that we're put in, which is the lives that don't matter,
Exactly.
right, has to be considered. Until people have any kind of care for the poor or all these people that they've marked as being part of the people that are undesirables or that don't matter, you know, it's like you said, all lives matter, right? Because you have to go and you got to bring people up, and you know, it's just been it's just more evident with Black people.
But those people right there have to deal with other people. That's totally insane. And there's not a mental institution across the street that will house these people.
Right? Yeah, we got rid of those.
But they're living next door to you. But when they go acting crazy and the police just come, grab them, arrest them for the day, and let them right back out. They go back out to doing the crazy stuff again. The drinking drunkards get back right out to do the crazy stuff again.
Yeah, man. I think that was a really good. You really brought up some good points that I hadn't considered, man. You know, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview.
I want to say I'm Don Paradiso, and I just want to let y'all know that all lives matter. You know what I'm saying? Including the Black brothers' lives matter that got their lives taken by the hands of disgruntled cops that didn't use the proper authority properly. You know what I'm saying? They're here to protect and serve. They're here to arrest and subdue a suspect and put him in jail so he can be properly brought in front of a jury, properly judged by the jury of his similar racial, ethical, and religious background. So he can be locked up for the crimes that he's committed. Instead of somebody being judge, jury, and executioner over another person's life when they weren't even schooled or properly educated to deal with that situation in such quick of a manner.
Yeah, and so sadly, so oftentimes they actually misjudge the situation.
They
The
misjudge
person
the
wasn't
situation.
even doing anything wrong.
Yes.
So that is, yeah, I mean, that's a great conclusion, man. I appreciate you coming by, and yeah, man, another one for the record, man.
Another one for the record. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna leave y'all by saying this, and I'll always say this, that we were all born winners. Out of your father's 10,000 sperm cells, you were the fastest swimmer. Don't never let nobody tell you you're a loser. It is a lie.
All right, see you guys next time on Urban Sagacity.